Beyond the Loop. Chapter 2. The First Night. Lanny voiceover hushed, filled with awe. The world did not blink. The violet fire that usually consumes my reality did not bring the morning sun. Instead, it left us in a darkness so thick it felt like velvet against my skin. For 1,000 years, my eyes have never known the true absence of light. My nights were merely shadows of the day, a brief pause before the sun was forced back into its starting position. But tonight, the stars have escaped their cages. Beside me, the stranger was a ghost of motion. I could feel the heat radiating from his hand, still locked in mine. He was trembling, not with the cold, but with the shock of a man who has just watched the laws of physics crumble. He pulled away, his silhouette stumbling back toward the frozen ocean. I watched him reach out to touch a wave. It was no longer water. It was a wall of cold, jagged glass, locked mid-crest. The ocean had become a statue, a monument to the moment the clock broke. He fell to his knees. In the world he came from, time was a commodity to be traded, a resource to be managed. Here, he was witnessing its death. I looked up, and for the first time, I saw the sky as it truly was. The stars were not the static pinpricks I had memorized. They were moving. They were drifting across the heavens like glowing embers, charting a course into a future I had never been allowed to visit. The village was silent. I knew that in the huts behind the tree line, my people were trapped in a state between being and non-being. They were part of the loop, woven into its fabric. But we were outside of it now. We were the only two living things in a world that had forgotten how to breathe. I walked toward him, my feet sinking into sand that felt strangely cold, no longer renewed by the morning heat. He was staring at his silver watch again. The glass was cracked now, a spiderweb of fractures across the dial. But underneath the broken surface, the second hand had begun to move. It was a terrifying sound. Each tick was a footstep into the unknown. Each second was a bridge being burned behind us. He looked up at me, his face illuminated only by the frantic, moving stars. He didn't have to speak for me to feel his question. We were no longer in my paradise, and we were certainly not in his world. We were in the between. The silence was breaking. The island was reacting to our presence, to the weight of two souls that shouldn't exist in this frozen second. Deep in the jungle, a light appeared, not the violet fire of the reset, but a pale, sickly green glow rising from the heart of the island. It was a beckoning, or a warning. I reached out once more, my fingers brushing his salt-crusted sleeve. The warmth of his body was the only compass I had left. We could not stay on the shore. The ocean was a graveyard of frozen momentum, and the sand was turning to ash beneath our feet. We had to move toward the glow. We had to find why the clock had stopped for us, and what price the island would demand for our survival. The first night has begun, and in the darkness, I realized that I was no longer afraid of the loop ending. I was afraid of what was waking up to take its place.